Good evening, everyone, and what is up? Welcome to another edition of The Danny Show. I'm your host, Daniel Cody, and this is where I give commentary and reviews on all things wrestling. Before I get started, I want to thank all the subscribers, such as Wrestling Account, the artist formerly known as Ray Carlson, Esther Ellis, and Peter Billette. Thank you guys so much for your subscriptions, and we have reached 265. So thank you guys so much for that. That means a lot to me. Also, before I get started with tonight's review on SmackDown, I got to talk about a couple of things that have been on the news lately. It's been a crazy week. First, we have Damar Hamlin getting having cardiac arrest on the field. He's getting better, thank God. I'm just so glad he's doing all right. My thoughts and prayers were with him all week, man. I could barely think about Monday Night Raw because of what happened with him. And also, speaking of WWE, Mr. McMahon wants to return to sell WWE. Why? I have no idea. Uh, he said we're coming up in a time where I forgot what he said, but I don't really know why he wants to sell it. I know that I believe that Triple H is doing an excellent job with the new era, bringing back everyone that Mr. McMahon released. So I don't know what in the heck is going on here. And I know a lot of people. I don't know how that meeting at 3 o'clock went earlier today, but this is about to get a little bit interesting. So I really don't know what to make of this. A lot of people are upset about that. Austin Theory might be happy about this, but a lot of people are upset about him in the idea of him coming back. But what makes this interesting is this. If Mr. McMahon, who has got in trouble for doing for having to give hush money and silencing everyone that he's messed around with, if he has to do that, retire and come back, then I guess you may as well bring Mandy back because while I don't really endorse the OnlyFans thing, it's interesting how he comes back after his scandals, but when she does something behind closed doors, they want to take her out. So just a point to bring up. Now, I'm not saying I'm the biggest OnlyFans type of guy, but that's just a point of interest. But let's get to Friday Night SmackDown, shall we? Oh, one more thing I forgot to mention. Dear Karen Angle, please leave Kurt alone. You're married. He's married. Can y'all please just go and be happy? She, in case you missed it, Karen Angle is upset and basically offended that the Acclaimed made reference to Jeff Jarrett taking Karen, who was formerly married to Kurt Angle, and Karen threatened to spill all of Kurt's past mistakes and past bad choices. Really? I mean, we all have things we did in the past, but really, Karen? I see why your mama named you Karen. Last time I talked about Karen was on a Sting review and a Samoa Joe review, and I had to explain that Karen was an actual person and not a crazy person, but I'm starting to wonder if I lied. Let's get into this review of Friday Night SmackDown, shall we? With the opening of the Tribal Chief and the Bloodline taking over SmackDown like they did Monday night, Roman Reigns comes in. Memphis acknowledges him. Sami Zayn dancing, not thinking that he's going to get in trouble because technically Sammy lost the match for Roman and himself last week when Kevin pinned him, which I thought Roman would be upset about. But because technically Roman didn't lose, Sammy lost. Let's get that straight. But moving forward, Roman kind of lost it before Kevin Owens came out to save him. Kevin Owens got a little black eye there. Kevin Owens came out and challenged him to the Royal Rumble. Roman, I'm speaking of. And what's ironic is that 2 years ago, Kevin Owens and Roman Reigns faced off in an incredible match at the Royal Rumble 2021, which is where I did my first review almost 2 years ago on February 1st. But what's even more ironic is that they'll be in San Antonio this year, the same place that Roman and Kevin faced off for the Raw Universal Championship in 2017, 6 years ago, when Kevin Owens was champion. Such irony. We had a match tonight between Kofi and Santos Escobar to open up the show with a match. And we saw Kofi give practice how to stay in the Rumble like he did in 2012. We saw him pull out 2012 when Woods blew the trombone to startle Santos. That was hilarious. It reminded me of when Triple H blew that little trombone like tiny trumpet into the Spirit Squad's ear during an episode of Saturday Night's Main Event in 2006. But nonetheless, a good match, a pretty good match. It wasn't a SmackDown short, but due to distraction of Legado del Fantasma and Zelina Vega, Santos was able to capitalize and with the most devastating move of WWE, the roll up. Also, we have in small news, Liv Morgan says she wants to be number one. I mean, I know she has a dark, edgy angle coming up, which I thought was kind of cool, but number one? No woman has ever won from number one. I mean, Sasha Banks started in the beginning and went almost the entire distance but didn't win, but no female has won from number one. Speaking of Sasha, Money. That's how you pronounce it. It's Mercedes Money. Mone, but without the Y. Wow, interesting. At New Japan. By the way, I thought New Japan had some interesting stuff, including Sasha Banks and Kenny Omega in an awesome match that night. That was also. And I didn't know Kevin Kelly was still active. The last time I saw Kevin Kelly was in the Attitude Era interview with The Undertaker. Also, we have LA Knight in a pitch black match, Mountain Dew pitch black match. I can't wait to see what happens there. I'm really excited about that. I think that's going to be a great dark match. And I'm curious to see what happens with Uncle Howdy, but I believe Bray is going to win. I'll be rooting for Bray the entire time. And also, speaking of Bray, I wonder if Alexa Bliss is going to get involved in that match since Uncle Howdy is also chasing her on Monday Night Raw. An interesting stable is about to be put together. And of course, let's go to some mixed tag match between Cross and Scarlett versus Emma and Madcap Moss, whom I used to call Magic Mike Moss. First off, I didn't know Michael Cole was afraid of Scarlett. Now, from my understanding, Cole fears Scarlett, but everyone lusts Scarlett. Just don't let Karrion Kross know you lust her or you might get choked out. But in any event, it was a tag match tonight where it wasn't that long, and eventually Kross choked out Moss while Scarlett threw Emma around ringside and then put a mask on Madcap Moss, symbolizing a message towards Rey Mysterio. So, Rey Mysterio has to deal with a son trying to get a match with him at this year's WrestleMania, and who, by the way, Dominic is getting married. Did his mistress permit that? But in any event, I'm just kidding with you guys. But in any event, Dominic is getting married, but there's issues with Dominic and Rey, and now Karrion Kross won't leave him the heck alone. Interesting stuff going on. Also, did not know Jerry Lawler owns a restaurant. I did not know that at all. But nonetheless, funny segment between Drew and Sheamus at the restaurant slash bar. And of course, we had Charlotte Flair come back in style. First of all, cool BMW, by the way. That was awesome. She came in, She addressed the crowd. The crowd loved her. They chanted, "Thank you, Charlotte." She was not expecting that at all. Neither was I. Well, I kind of was because they popped for her last week. Charlotte thanked the crowd that thanked her, and then Sonya Deville interrupted her. But I got to say something different this time because I have been informed that the T word is a swear word, and I try not to use swears on the channel. So I will just say it like this: when Sonya the Supplanter interrupted Charlotte, fans started chanting, "Whoop the trickster, Sonya Supplanter." That's how we're going to say it. I'm making biblical references for humor. But tonight we had a match between Sonya the Supplanter versus Charlotte Flair, which didn't last too long. Sonya came out, real strong at first, but then that boot took the wind out of her. Eventually, we saw a spear and a figure eight, and Trickster taps out. Trickster taps. That's a funny one right there. Also, that cartwheel clothesline that Charlotte delivered during the match was pretty cool. I don't think I've seen anything like that before. Moving on, we have Ricochet versus Top Dollar. And this all came about because everyone's been making fun of that accident that Top Dollar had when he tried to fly over the top rope and failed. Don't do that. But that's a learning experience because we all know you shouldn't do that again. But he didn't take too kindly. He came out with that mug look on his face. So that was funny. And then they got into a fight. They wrestled, and eventually, this was a SmackDown shorts, which is something I don't say often, but we haven't had a lot of SmackDown shorts since Triple H took control. So for goodness sake, Mr. McMahon, don't mess stuff up. Mr. McMahon really should relax. He's 77 years old, in my personal opinion. He should probably relax. But in any event, Ricochet wins with a shooting star press. 1, 2, 3. Top Dollar shows sportsmanship. I knew that heel turn was coming. I'm telling you right now, as soon as he stuck his hand out for Ricochet to shake, I'm saying heel turn, heel turn, heel turn is about to happen. And it's ironic because Swerve from AEW is heel himself. So all members of Hit Row are heel. Nonetheless, Braun Strowman comes out to help Ricochet, whom he has grown a bit of a respect and bond for. Walter and Braun Strowman next week. I don't know if there's going to be a conclusion, but we'll see what happens, or if they're going to draw it out to the Royal Rumble. But I hope they have a conclusion match at some point because I think that's going to be awesome. Let's get into this main event. After Roman Reigns apologized to Sami Zayn for his actions, they ate popcorn. And the Usos took on Drew and Sheamus, who dubbed themselves for a second the Banger Bros. When I first realized that they said that, I realized that's the name of something that is not very PG and is not appropriate, so I will not speak on such a thing. We're just going to call them, let's call them the Banger Brutes, or just make Drew McIntyre a honorary brawling brute, but don't ever do that again. Brawling Brute. Make him an honorary Brawling Brutes, but that name has already been taken by something R-rated. But in any event, poor Jey Uso, always taking beats to the chest. Tonight he took 20 beats to the chest. White noise, a double white noise from the second rope to the Usos happened tonight. We saw Drew McIntyre fly and Michael Cole still making humorous references at Top Dollar, saying, "Now that's how you fly." No one's going to get over that accident, that blooper, wrestling bloopers. Jimmy saves Jay from a 2 count from a Claymore kick. Then we see, while that's happening, No, while all that's happening, Roman Reigns and Sami Zayn are eating popcorn. Solo Sequoia attacks Drew McIntyre on the outside, and the Brawling Brutes come out, and that leaves room for Sheamus to go for the double knees and the brogue kick, but that count gets broken up, and eventually we get a 1D, and that is it wasn't the 1D that put him away because Sheamus still kept going. It was that Money in the Bank 2021 roll up that the Usos did to keep them going. And Sami Zayn made a mess in the locker room with all that popcorn. Roman Reigns is like, dude, just tearing up the whole locker room, making a mess like a kid at a house party on New Year's Day. Somebody's going to have to clean that up. But in any event, let me know what your thoughts are about everything that's going on in the wrestling media, as well as your thoughts on this episode of SmackDown. I'm your host, Daniel Coda. That's all the time I have for you for today, and I'll be back with another review on all things wrestling. Hashtag, please keep Triple H in charge. Mr. McMahon, don't mess up too much, please. See you guys later.